Welcome, students. Today we are going to learn how to tell time for kids. This is a math mini lesson, and this is aligned with first grade standard 1.MDB, tell and write time. Standard 1.MDB3, tell and write time in hours and half hours using analog and digital clocks. Let's take a look at our clocks today. So over here, we have the analog clock. Can you say analog? Good job. Over here, we have the digital clock. This is a digital clock. Can you say digital? Good job. Take a look at each of these clocks. What do you notice? Well, the analog clock, we have what's called a face. So we call this circle here the clock face. So this is the face of the clock. And over here we have our digital clock, which you will find even on your computer. You will see in the time box how it's represented digitally, okay? So we have the analog clock and we have the digital clock. Now you'll notice with the analog clock, we have to be able to tell the time. We have to know what these two arrows mean on the clock face. We have to know what all of these numbers count and what they represent. But on the digital clock, it just simply tells us the time. So if you're looking over here at this digital clock, you can read, oh, I know the time is 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is the time. So it tells you instead of having to tell time like we tell time on the analog clock. Okay, let's take a peek at some more analog clocks. Look at all of these different analog clocks. Even though they have different styles, they're all just normal clocks. On these clocks, you'll notice there are 3 lines. That's because we have the hour hand, the minute hand, and they even have the second hand on these clocks. So that's the second hand. Okay, let's take a peek at an analog clock up close. First, we're going to just take a look at this clock over here, number 1. Now you'll notice that there are 2 arrows. We have the hour hand, and we have the minute hand. So we have the hour hand and the minute hand. Now you'll also notice that 1 full hour is 60 minutes. So 1 full hour is 60 minutes. So that means that this minute hand has to travel all the way around the clock, 60 minutes, for it to change hours to the next hour. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. You'll also notice on our clock here that it is broken up in 5-minute intervals. So it jumps by 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and count together our 60 minutes, counting by 5s, okay, students? So I want you to count with me this time. Are you ready? Count with Miss K. Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Good job. We just counted by 5s all around the clock for 1 whole hour of 60 minutes. Now take a look, I put MIN period. That is just the abbreviation or shortened version of the word minutes. Okay, now we have gone over again our minute hand and of course our hour hand. We know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour, and we also want to think about how our hands move on the clock. So our hands, how they move on the clock is called clockwise. That means that they always travel this way. So they go around the clock just like so. They keep traveling, always going this way. So that's how they always move around the clock, okay? They always travel clockwise around the clock. So that's how our hands move. So as time goes on, the hands will move. So you'll notice that right now our clock is on number 1 is showing 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. So we have the 8 here. The hour hand is pointed straight at the 8, and the minute hand is pointed straight at the 12. Now, as time goes on and minutes and seconds go by, the minute hand here will start moving. It's going to start moving. So it will start moving around the clock. And when this hand moves, that means that this hour hand starts moving closer to the 9. So when this minute hand reaches all the way around and keeps going, all the way around, it will move so that the hour hand here moves to the 9 o'clock. So we'll keep going around, and then it will move again all the way around to the 10 o'clock and so forth. Okay, now we know that this clock number 1 tells us it's exactly 8 o'clock. So we're gonna write that. And how we would write that is we write 8, our little colon here, and 0, 0. 8 o'clock. Okay, now take a look at number 2 over here, my second clock. Can you tell what time it is? Let me know. Good job. You're right. It's 7 o'clock. Our hour hand here is pointed directly at the 7. And our minute hand is pointed exactly at the 12. So we know that it is 7 o'clock. Now let's look at 2 more clocks. Remember, these are, what do we call these clocks? Good job, they're analog clocks. These are both analog clocks. So when we take a look at these 2 clocks, remember we have our hour hand on both of these clocks, and we also have our minute hand here. So taking a look at clock 1 over here, can you tell me what time it is? Good job, it's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Can you tell me what time it is for clock number 2? Good job, it's 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. So now looking at both of these clocks, we know that they are analog clocks. We know how to tell time by reading the hour where it's pointed to. So when our clock travels all the way around, remember it goes this way. So looking at clock number 1, if it's 4 o'clock now, what time will it be an hour from 4 o'clock? What time do you think it will be? Good job, you're right. It's going to be 5 o'clock. So when our hands move all the way around for 1 hour, it's going to end up at the 5 for 5 o'clock. Okay, taking a look at clock number 2, right now we know that it represents 2 o'clock. What would happen if it was an hour later? What time would it be? Good job. You're right. It's 3 o'clock. It would move all the way around to now point at the 3 for 3 o'clock, 1 hour later. Okay, let's go ahead and count again by 5s on each of these clocks and make our beautiful little clock flowers again. Are you ready to count with me? Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Good job. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay, let's go ahead and count number 2 now. Are you ready? We're going to start at the 12. Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Good job. 60 minutes are in 1 hour. Okay, let's take a look at our next clock. So we know that there are 60 minutes in 1 full hour. So our hands move all the way around the 60 minutes, our minute hand here. Now let's take a look at our clock. So we have a 12 at the top and we have a 6 down here. Notice how our clock is a circle. We want to do what's called a half hour. So half of 60 is going to give us 30. So for 30 minutes to be represented, we're going to start at the 12 and we're going to count till we get till 30, okay? We're going to count by 5s again. So count with me by 5s. Are you ready? Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay, notice that at 30 minutes, we ended up right at the 6. So this is half an hour. It's half an hour. So we're going to put a little line here. And I'm going to get a different color to color our half hour. Okay, so we're going to put the line straight down. And our minute hand has traveled 30 minutes. So it is half an hour. That represents our 30 minutes, okay? So half of 60. So if we were to take 60 and divide it by 2, we would get 30. If we were to represent this in, let's say, an addition problem, we could write 30 plus 30 equals 60. So 30 minutes, okay? 30 minutes is half an hour. Our whole clock, all the way around 1 hour, is 60 minutes. 1 hour is 60 minutes. Okay, let's try to tell time on these 2 clocks now. Can you tell me the time for number 1? Good job, it's 9 o'clock. What about clock number 2? Can you tell Miss Kay? Good job, you're right. It's 3 o'clock on this clock. Our hour hand is pointed at the 9 for 9 o'clock, and over on number 2, our hour hand is pointed at the 3 for 3 o'clock. And our minute hand is at the 12 because it's right at the hour, okay? Now let's take a look at our clock, and here we have, tell me again, is this, I forgot, is this an analog clock or is it a digital clock? Can you tell me, students? Good job, you're right, it's an analog clock. Remember, the analog clock has what's called a clock face. So you can remember, think of a little smiley face on our analog clock. It has a clock face. So let's go ahead and work on our half an hour now. So let's say that it is 10 10:30. If it was 10:30, we would have our hour hand, which is the smaller hand, pointed at the 10. And we would have our minute hand pointed at the 6 because it's 10:30. So how we would write this is we would write 10, 3, 0, 10:30. Okay, students, so let's go ahead and double check to make sure that our minute hand is in the right spot. So we know it's 10:30, so let's count by fives again to double check. Count with me. Are you ready? Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Good job. It is 10:30. Okay, let's practice another time. Now we're going to say that the time is 3:30. So now it's 3:30. Let's write what our time would be for 3:30. So I'm going to go ahead and write the hour hand first. So remember, the hour hand is the shorter hand, and it's 3:30. So I need to go ahead, I'll write the time over here, 3, 3, 0. It's 3:30. So I'm going to write the hour hand first, and I know the hour hand is going to point at the 3. So let's go ahead and find the 3. Oh, here it is. So we're going to do the hour hand, which is the smaller one. So I'm going to write it like that. And now we need to do the minute hand for 30. So our minute hand is longer, and we need 30 minutes. So I want you guys to count with me. We're going to start at the 12 again and count till we get to 30. Are you ready? Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Good job. So we know our minute hand is going to point straight down to the 6. The time is now 3:30. Good job. Okay, now we're going to do another time, and this time we need to fill in the time for 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. How would we do this? Okay, remember, this is just on the hour at 1 o'clock. So that means that our minute hand is going to be pointing straight at the 12. Can you tell me, is the minute hand the longer hand or the shorter hand? Good job, you're right. It's the longer hand. So since we know it's right at the hour at 1 o'clock, we're going to put our minute hand straight at the 12. Now we need to do our hour hand at the 1. Is the hour hand, we're going to make shorter. Remember, it's that shorter arrow. So we're going to put it just like so. So now our clock reads 1 o'clock. The clock is showing 1 o'clock. Okay, let's practice a couple more. Now let's pretend that it is 6:30. It's going to be 6:30. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the 6, our hour hand. Is the hour hand shorter or longer? Can you tell me? Good job, you're right. It's the shorter hand. So we're going to go ahead and write the shorter hand right at the 6. Just as so. Okay, now we need to do the minute hand at 30. And I want you guys to count with me again. Are you ready? We're going to start at the 12. We're always going to start here, and we're going to count till we get till 30 minutes past the hour. Here we go. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's right at the 6. Half an hour, 30 minutes. So we're going to draw the minute hand, remember, which is the long one, pointing right at the 6. So they're right on top of each other. It is 6:30. Remember, it travels to the 6 to make 30 minutes past the hour. Good job. Okay, let's do one more. This time we're going to do 4:30. So let's pretend that our time is 4:30. Let's take our watch and we're going to do the hour hand first. Can you tell me, is the hour hand short or long? Good job, it's the short one. So we're going to do a little arrow pointing right at the 4. Now we need to do our 30 minutes. And I know you guys are great counters now, so I want you to count with me one more time. Here we go, starting at the 12. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's at the 6. So we're going to draw our minute hand pointing down to the 6. Now our clock shows 4:30. Okay, students, our last question today, is this an analog clock or a digital clock? What do you think? Good job, you're right. It's an analog clock. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye-bye.